Hi, my name is Bumi Afolabi. I'm popularly known as Mr. Speaker. If you want to know more about me, check out my previous videos. Now let's get into the meat of the matter. I want to talk about public speaking. And if you're going to start talking about public speaking, you have to start from the foundation, the basic level. I mean, you don't just take a child and not let he or she go through kindergarten. You just put the child in, elementary school or primary school, depending on the nomenclature you use in your country. It doesn't work that way. So let's start from the nitty gritty. Foundation. Just like you can see on the screen behind me, public speaking and effective communication. Okay. For more of the preambles, you can check the previous video and understand what we said before we got to this point. Okay. Now, I facilitated a training, a workshop for a very major organization in my country, Nigeria. It was a class of 20 persons, 20 professionals, great people. And one of the modules was on persuasive communication. And then, of course, we had to snowball into public speaking. I had these great slides up on the screen, just like I have behind me. And I just had this hunch because I'd always seen the stats about people fear public speaking more than death and whatnot. Yeah. Remember, I already confirmed that while in business school. So I thought to find this out. This is a different sample size, if you permit me. And I said, this is a class of 20. How many of you have issues with public speaking? And your guess is as good as mine. If you guessed right, your guess is as good as mine. Out of 20 persons, I kid you not, about 17 or 18 of them all had issues with public speaking. I was like, okay, instead of going into the slides, I only had a couple of hours with them. Usually, if you want to take public speaking, my course will take you like 8 weeks. Each class is between 2 to 3 hours, thereabouts. And then that does not even involve the one-on-one coaching, which I tell you, I bring in so much passion into that thing that you must speak well. You must communicate well. I give you all the hacks that you need to know to be able to break the ice with any kind of audience. Whether you're talking to your subordinates, that's downline, your contemporaries, online, your superiors, upline, investors to be, government officials, policymakers, what have you. Trust me, all of the hacks which you can use to break the ice and have a fantastic session. They're all in this. Okay, it's in the right pocket. Yeah, they're all in my right pocket. And so I just dole them out like a rabbit out of my hat. That's how I do it. Yes. So now, I mean, 17, 18% out of 20. That got me thinking. So I went around the class. I love to walk around when I'm facilitating, And then I said, okay, let's find out what each person's issue is. So in no particular order, some had overlapping issues, like 2, 3 persons having the same issue. So I'll just glean off some of the ones that I can remember for the sake of this video. One said, I have issues with stage fright. Okay. Another person said, fear of judgment from the audience. So I merged stage fright, fear of judgment. You know that they're pretty much symptoms of the same thing. Yeah. Another person said, I'm scared that I may get on stage and say rubbish. Does that sound like you? Okay. Yeah. Then in the same class, I had another person who said, I just feel like I'm not prepared enough. If you didn't prepare enough, then you are correct. That means you didn't prepare enough. However, I would also want to say something there that you cannot be over-prepared. You can be under-prepared. What I mean by that is this. You probably do a presentation, beautiful presentation, the crowd goes wow, and then there's just this devilish fellow or this devilish lady in the audience that's kept this bomb-like question that he or she is going to hurl it in your direction, so that when they throw it in your direction, you go off balance and whatnot. Well, we always hope and pray against such people. But then again, you have to be prepared for it. Okay? There are ways to ensure that you're prepared for such questions. I could teach you. Now, another person said, what if someone asks me, so that overlaps into, what if someone asks me a question that I have no answer to? There are ways to go about it. There are ways to even say something that is not correct. Please, disclaimer. I'm not telling you to go everywhere you want to go. Even my director of photography is laughing because he took footages of me in a class where I made this statement that I'm about to make, and somebody just decided to twist it. You know, people can misquote you. I said it in the class that even if you're going to say rubbish, now I'm not saying go around the world and be saying rubbish. No. But even if you're going to say rubbish, hello, say that rubbish and say it confidently. In my part of the world, we say it with your full chest. Yes, own it with your full chest. Another person said, what if I get on stage and I don't have confidence? Well, I teach you how to have confidence, how to nurture confidence, and stand in front of whatever number of people, even if they be millions, and you deliver that great stuff you have inside of you. Okay? Another person talked about, I get on stage and then I begin to stutter. There's a medicine to it. I told you, okay, that one, those ones are in my right pocket. Stuttering, the drug for that, is in my left pocket. Okay? No, that's on stuttering. Then, of course, another person said, stuttering, mumbling, they're along the same lines. Okay? One person said, I usually have a rough start. I mumble a bit, then I get my flow, and then I continue. And then another person said, what if I forget what I want to say on stage? So you see, these complaints, these comments, they're not peculiar to just those wonderful people in that room where I was coaching. They are peculiar to everybody on earth. So for everyone that said stage fright, there are probably millions of people who have that. And I think we may just start with how to conquer stage fright probably in the next video. So look out for that. However, I need to say this in closing for this video so that it doesn't stretch for too long. If you're ready to put in the work, you can be a phenomenal, global, world-class public speaker and effective communicator like myself, Mr. Speaker. However, you need two things. The first thing is willpower. You need to be able to picture and agree with yourself that you can achieve anything. That's the first thing. The other aspect is you must be ready to practice, practice, and practice. So if you keep going on in this journey with me, you would see how we can knock off each of these things for you to become a world-class, effective communicator. So follow me to the next video. Let's start knocking off these things that make people fear public speaking one after the other. I think I'm going to start with the fear of stage. Yeah, stage fright. My name is Mr. Speaker. I endorse this video. Catch you on the next one.